Coming up on today's episode, we saw the Falcon Heavy go off and a whole bunch of other stuff happened. And we're in the same room together. Let's get ludicrous. Hi, and welcome to a very special edition of Our Ludicrous Future, coming at you from Cape Canaveral, Florida. I am Joe Scott from the Answers with Joe podcast, and with me, are these jabronis.
Oh, hi. It's me, Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Nice to meet you guys. Hi.
Hey, what's your name?
I'm Tim.
Oh, nice to meet you, Tim.
I run a YouTube thing called Everyday Astronaut.
Erday
Astronaut if you're on Twitter. And this is...
Yeah, hi.
What was your name again?
My name is Starbucks. I am
This episode brought to you
sponsored by... No. Ben Solons from Teslanomics, in case you guys didn't know that. Guys, we're actually in the same location.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've ever...
all been together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was this the first time you guys physically...
Yeah.
Okay.
At the
Physically
meetup that we did the other day.
Kissed.
Yeah, right. Physically embraced each other
It's the first time
for
we
an
French
awkward period of time.
Yeah, this is our first time meeting finally.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all have done something before.
Well, you came out to San Diego.
And you came out to
Well,
California.
I came to Palm Springs to
Yeah.
visit you, yeah.
Yep.
Our roads lead to California, apparently.
Apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But why are you guys here?
I'm about to retire, and so I thought
This
I
is the
heard
place to go.
Florida is the place to retire. So here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you guys saw your first rocket launch, right?
Yeah.
Yes, after 5 attempts.
So originally it was scheduled for Saturday. No, Sunday.
Sunday.
It was Sunday. And then it got pushed to Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got pushed to Wednesday. And
Yep.
it got pushed to Thursday. And it did finally go off.
But Thursday, the Falcon Heavy launched. The first commercial launch of Falcon Heavy,
Yeah.
which is awesome. What do you guys think? I want to hear you guys' experience from it, because you had similar experiences, and it ended up being similar experiences.
We were 5 feet away from each other. So we had a pretty similar experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about it, though.
Okay, so the thing that stuck out to me the most just immediately was the landing, just how fast they're coming down.
Oh my God, right?
Because I mean, you see it on YouTube and everything, but it's like it is literally free falling from the sky at ridiculously high. I mean, it's coming down from space,
Yeah.
and it's just falling. Okay, so I know they have that initial burn as it's coming through the atmosphere. So is that just to keep it from like hitting the atmosphere and blowing apart, basically?
Yes.
Because it only
Yep.
burns for a few seconds.
Yep, like 15 seconds-ish or something.
Okay.
Yeah, a handful of seconds.
And then they kind of disappear from the sky, and you're like, "What's going on?" And
Where'd they go?
Yeah, it's almost like there's a little needle, like a couple of little needles
Yes.
way out there.
Yeah.
And I get little floaters in my head, so I'm like, are those real or are those, and then they light up again, and it's like they slow down so fast. That was nuts.
That was the
so
coolest
cool.
part.
Yeah.
So we, to describe it for people that didn't see there were videos about it, we were at the Tesla Secret Level 3 viewing event, which was at the Exploration Tower, and we were on the 7th floor, which I've heard so many conflicting things. Somebody said we were 3 miles from the landing. Somebody said 7 miles, and then you told me 11 miles.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we had one of the best viewing points to see the landing.
Yeah.
And
you can
the
actually
launch-
see the pads, right?
Yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, but you don't have trees in your way. You're 7 floors
no.
up, so
Right.
at least you're gonna watch it pretty much from all the way down.
So, to me, it was it's funny because as we're just to replay the scene as we're going, as we're watching it, we have the webcast going. Pretty much everyone's on the 7th floor. Trip from SpaceX is there, kind of being our guide. And he's like, "Stop watching the TV! Stop watching the TV!"
Yeah.
And as they're counting down, like 10, it's like, we're like, "Oh wait, it's going!" Right? 'Cause
Yeah,
there was a delay.
There's a little bit of delay on YouTube, which nobody was thinking about. So we're watching the screen, the thing's taking off over here,
And everyone's like,
"Ah, crap!"
man, and on the way up, it was bright.
It's
Yeah.
really bright.
I didn't estimate. I mean, I used to be a welder, so I guess I'm familiar with bright. But no, it was super bright on the way up.
Bright. Really
Yeah,
bright.
and then it's like gone really quick.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know, like 30 seconds in, you're like, bye bye.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see the as it reaches past max Q or whatever when the atmosphere gets lower or less, the flame gets real big.
Yep. And you can see condensation too when it goes through certain levels of the
Right.
atmosphere. It starts crystallizing some of the air and you
Yeah.
get clouds and stuff. Yeah.
And then it was just kind of quiet for like 5 or 6 minutes or however long, and then as they were coming down, it's just we're all quiet and someone's like, I see him, and everyone's like,
I was like, yeah.
And then everyone's like, wait, no, I don't see him.
No, that's awesome.
It's like, do I keep screaming or?
Yeah.
And what did Jack and your wife think?
Jack's first reaction was, again.
Dude, hey, that's what they're working on.
Yeah.
Land it and do it again.
And then the sonic boom kind of scared people a little bit.
I think everybody forgot about it. And,
Yeah.
Or maybe,
Did
maybe
you
they
get
didn't
much of a
know,
sonic? Because you were pretty close, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah, and there's two, because there's two rockets.
There's actually 6
Oh, really?
altogether, because the leading edge, so the engines kind of make their own sonic boom. The grid fins kind of make their own sonic boom. And somewhere in the middle, there's like a transonic region or something that creates it. So each booster kind of goes pop, like really quick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so they go pop, and it's just like, oh.
So like if you had a
nuts.
waveform, you could probably see the individual ones, but to where we were, it was just like I heard maybe
I think
probably 2
3 or
distinct
so.
or something, yeah.
boom.
Yeah. And you guys probably are hearing like reflections off stuff
True,
too,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. And you couldn't hear the third one because it was too far out, or at least I couldn't.
No, definitely not.
Yeah,
It's-
I mean, that would take...
It was over the horizon. I mean, it is way out there.
It was interesting because, so where you were at, Tim, do you hear right when it goes up? Right when
It still
ignites?
takes, I was 6-7 miles away, so it still takes like 30 seconds to
Okay,
hear.
yeah.
It's significant. Significant sound delay.
Yeah, like I haven't been through all the footage I got yet, but it was like dead silent where we were at when it was launching because we couldn't hear
People
anything.
screaming.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but people, but then all of a sudden, and then like a minute later, you start to hear, like
rumble.
you start to hear the rumble, come in. So very cool, man.
I can imagine how cool talking about how bright it was. It would be to see a night one.
Yeah, night ones are different. Yeah, like I don't know which I like better, night or day. I do love seeing like during the day watching the booster come back.
Yeah.
So I think for a landing, I think the day is pretty great. But night it can be very special. Like it just totally illuminates everything. All of a sudden night turns into day, and you get to you almost get this better sense of scale at night because you just watch it disappear into like the darkness of the sky. And I don't know, you just get this like, wow, I didn't get the like I'm insignificant. This thing is huge and doing crazy things feeling this time as much as a night launch. You almost are assured that because I don't know. It's just like it just goes off into the darkness. I don't know. It's just really interesting.
I do wonder now. I don't know, Joe. This was your first one, right? Like, has this ruined future launches for me that aren't Falcon Heavy?
Yes.
Right? Because we'll go to another launch and be like, oh, that's it? Oh.
You saw the best.
Okay.
You saw the best.
Yeah, it's like only downhill from here.
Yeah. Until, Starship, New Glenn.
Right. But those are a little ways away. So.
Yeah. Starship hopefully will always land back at land too, which would be, I mean, I think it almost will have to because I don't know how they get it.
Starship is the SpaceX one.
Yeah, the next huge.
If they land it on water, it just kind of keeps going down.
It'll just sink whatever it lands on.
We nailed it. Bye.
But yeah, you definitely saw the most exciting rocket to watch. And as a recap for those of you that didn't watch or hear about it, this was the first time they actually recovered all 3 cores. So this the demo mission, they were unsuccessful in recovering the center core. But this one, the center core broke records. It was 50% further downrange than any booster has ever been before.
Okay.
Even a Falcon, obviously like a Falcon 9. And that's because, the center core gets almost a free ride for a while because the side boosters are fully throttled and they throttle that center core down so it has extra fuel. So then it can burn for about an extra minute. So it ends up really far down range. But not only far down range, it also saves some of that fuel because it also has to do more of an entry burn.
Back.
It has to burn for longer so it can survive re-entry. Basically you have to think about it like, that's an aluminum airframe. When it hits the atmosphere, it has to be at a certain speed in order to survive. There's just a maximum.
Right.
I'm sure they've probably literally figured out, especially when they're throwing boosters away. How about they're just like, okay, let's see let's
try this.
how hot and how fast it can come in for re-entry. So they probably know that exact number, and they just have to have enough fuel to slow down to that point.
Yeah, I wondered about that because I thought, all right, so does this thing have more fuel than the other ones? Because if it keeps going for like a good amount of more time, how does it then have enough to still make it back? Or or the other ones still half full when they come back?
No, the other ones, they go through as much as they can. The other ones come back, though. That's the thing. They have to do a huge, boost back burn. That takes a ton of extra fuel. And that's why the center core lands so far down range.
Because it doesn't have enough to turn all the way back
Turn all the way,
around.
and that'd be very inefficient. There is actually the next mission, STP-2, which is an Air Force mission, which will use the same side boosters
For Falcon Heavy?
for Falcon Heavy. Yep. In literally like a month or two, they're planning.
Oh,
to
wow.
launch. In June, yeah, it's currently scheduled for June, which is nuts. But they are using a new center core, probably because they haven't landed a center core to prove out that it's okay for reuse yet. So they're using a new center core. They'll put it all together again, and they will launch that. And that one, the center core is actually landing only like 30 miles or like 50 kilometers off the coast. So it's doing a boost back burn. So you actually see
Oh, wow.
3. So it's really inefficient. The math almost doesn't even add up. Like you might as well just do a Falcon 9 and have it land far down range. It'd do about the same thing. Because as soon as you turn around,
Because you have to stop that momentum.
Exactly.
And then come back.
So you're better off just burning longer, not doing the boost back burn, and just landing down range.
Yeah.
And that's but I guess I think this is more of a demonstration for the Air Force that the Falcon Heavy is capable or whatever for them. So I don't think the full performance of the vehicle is going to be anywhere near utilized, obviously. But yeah, that's why landing super far down range is advantageous, because the more the center core can do, the less work the upper stage can do.
And one thing I learned talking to the SpaceX guys at the event was that there is a crew of people out there with the drone ship that are in a separate ship.
Yep.
That's maybe a few miles away or something like that.
Yep.
Because I always thought about that, this thing lands on the drone ship 1,000 kilometers away, and just drives itself back, like through the ocean with this rocket on it.
Right.
That doesn't seem safe,
Well, at first they actually, had people, as soon as the vehicle dumped its fuel and stuff, the crew went out there, had to secure it,
so it doesn't.
On this rocket, you're standing under a 15-story tall building on a floating platform in the ocean.
The center of gravity, I'm sure, is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, because if you think about it, I mean, the ocean is not, it's incredibly powerful, and it does not care that you're trying to do something. Right? So you could very easily run into a situation where that thing, gets tossed into the ocean.
I've seen The Perfect Storm.
Right.
I know all about the ocean.
I've seen The Little Mermaid.
So, Tim, this brings up a why don't they just that I had. We can do this quick and continue on with the Falcon Heavy stuff. But so the rockets are manufactured in LA, in California. They're tested in Texas, in McGregor, Texas. And then they are, not all, but a lot of them are launched from here in Florida. That seems like a long way to send a rocket by truck. Why don't they just launch it from Vandenberg and land it in Cape Canaveral to save all that time? It seems like it would be more efficient. You load it up with fuel and then, hey, it'll be there in 30 minutes or something.
Okay.
Screw all the people in between there, just in case.
Okay. The obvious answer was because there's people there and you don't want a rocket flying over people. But you ought to be able to go the other direction and escape the atmosphere and then fly around Earth once and land back down. No? Okay,
no.
So give me that answer, because
no.
just plain.
So that's it.
There's a few things here.
Okay.
If you're talking about time, who cares about time? Yes, physically you could do it in
there's a
90
cost
minutes.
associated with it.
Sort of, but was that more expensive than shutting down the entire airspace, the sea around the launch pad, all the personnel to launch a freaking rocket, the $200,000 worth of fuel on the rocket?
Is that how much the fuel costs?
At least, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All these things,
I thought they said kerosene, and I've been to Home Depot and seen those things. Not that much.
Yeah, try putting
a couple hundred of them, that's all.
Come on.
Yeah, and actually helium's the most expensive, I think more expensive than the fuel, and there's only tiny amounts of helium, less than 1% of the vehicle is fuel.
That's just to cool it, right?
It's to pressurize the tanks as as the fuel drains out. They have to keep the tanks backfilled. So not only that, but then think about orbital dynamics wise. If you're trying to fly it west, if you get up to, that's basically orbital velocity. You're basically getting into orbit. And a Falcon 9 booster probably could get itself just barely into orbit, but they would have no fuel to boost back, re-enter. So think about now you're at orbital velocity. You have to slow down to that speed we were talking about.
17,500.
So you're going from that, or 27,000 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
You have to slow down to 4,000 kilometers an hour. So now you have to take off almost all of the amount of energy you put into it, you know, to slow it down enough to land. And it's just like, why not just put it on a truck?
Well, that is what they do.
That is what they do.
Why not put it on a train?
Because you know why?
Yeah, I do
Did I
know
tell you
why.
guys this?
Yeah.
Because Texans will shoot at trains.
Oh, you did mention that, yeah.
Like, literally, they have a train track right next to Hawthorne. They could just
That's
load
right.
it on a
Yeah.
freaking... right there, but they can't because trains get shot at.
You could maybe boring tunnel it through
I'm going
there.
to apologize for all of Texas.
Hey, I'm sure there's a few other states that would take a shot at it along the way too.
Well, if they don't want people shooting at it, they shouldn't have targets on the side.
Right. Yeah, the logo does kind of beg for.
Yeah. There's an X right there. Take it out.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and think about how cheap it'll get now. They're going to be. I bet they'll start using Tesla semis soon.
Sure.
So shipping costs will go down.
Yeah.
The weird thing to me is like, why don't they just manufacture them right there at the Cape?
That makes more sense.
I mean, and
Like
test it
Blue
right
Origin
there,
is
like
doing.
Blue Origin, and like what SpaceX is doing with Starship. You know, they'll be building Starship right next to the launch pads, basically.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
In Texas.
Both
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they're going to have a facility.
here.
Okay, so, all right. Speaking of Blue Origin,
Mhm.
I've talked about this on my little vlog. The building right next to Kennedy Space Center
Mhm.
blew me away.
Blue.
Blue.
Ooh.
Ooh, you got blown.
I blew myself, as Tobias Fumke would say. Yeah. But no, so I mean, we've talked about this already, but I mean, this is for them. The thing that just kind of blew me away. The thing that shocked me was
Do
was
this
that
without saying that.
it wasn't just that they had that facility out there. It was right at the entrance of Kennedy Space Center. You can't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like every photo you take inside has it in the background.
Basically.
yeah, exactly. And so, first of all, the fact that they've been so secretive all this time, so under the radar, and then suddenly just boom, here we are. That was amazing and weird to me. But I know that SpaceX has some kind of facility out there, but I guess it's like away toward where the pad is, and it's more of an assembly building.
Mm-hmm. They have.
And is it their building or is it NASA's building that they lease out?
It's SpaceX's building now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's leased on NASA property. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a public statement, you know, where Blue Origin is right now, and it's probably pretty cheap for them because I don't think that land was as expensive as like trying to directly lease it.
Did you get to go to it?
I will tomorrow. I think get to go see it. Yeah.
But you can't talk about it though.
I won't be able to talk about it. I think I'd be able to say that I went to it, but I hope this is screwing it right now. Like the guy's gonna be like, I saw that.
Yeah.
No,
We'll make sure to publish this after you.
But yeah, I'll go see it. Check it out. I've never done anything with Blue Origin yet, which I'm excited about that. We could tangential. Why don't we finish up Falcon Heavy, and then I do want to talk really quick. There's a little bit of Blue Origin news, actually, a little bit.
Okay.
And it's kind of
I know what you're talking about.
interesting. But Falcon Heavy, one more thing that's fun. So they landed the side boosters, they landed the center core, and they recovered the fairings, but they didn't catch them.
Right.
They didn't catch
Yeah,
them.
they mentioned that at the event that they were going to recover them, but not try to catch them.
Yep. So basically, I think Mr. Stevens still isn't the catching. There's a boat that has the big nets that are trying to catch fairings. I don't think they're giving up on that. You know, I don't think that's like totally done because they're still
really
practicing.
close that last time.
Really
man,
close.
That was right there. Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, for their sake, just knowing like it didn't ever touch water is probably going to be a lot less time checking everything out. But they did apparently make them more waterproof now. So they caught the fairing, or they landed the fairings, so they safely splashed down. They had 2 boats out there that recovered them, and they're going to reuse them, according to Elon on Twitter. So this would be the first fairing to actually be reused. It'd be awesome if they used it already on this Air Force mission. Can you imagine if the Air
next
Force
Falcon
mission?
Heavy one?
Yeah. Can you imagine if it had reused fairings? Like the only thing that would be thrown away then is the freaking upper stage.
Oh, right.
Which is a single engine and some aluminum, basically, and some avionics.
And it would be the 2 boosters that they've already used with a new core.
The new core that will be reused.
Right.
So you could almost argue 2/3 of it is reused.
More
stuff.
than.
Well, 2/3 in that specific.
Oh, in that specific
launch. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
When are they gonna start
crazy,
reusing the fuel?
They just
It
take all the.
It just takes like
exhaust
30
and-
million years to turn back into fuel. So yeah.
It is reused. It is.
Yeah.
Reused.
So 30 million years times.
So yeah,
Eventually.
that will be. That's just a really cool thing that even though they aren't catching the fairings, they're still going to be reusing
So
them.
how is it that it didn't touch water?
It does. It's just
Okay,
that
I thought you
Water
said that
proof
it
it
just didn't.
No, I was saying that I think they'd like it to not touch water.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
they would like
Got
to
it.
catch it. But these do just totally
Yeah,
splash
I mean
down.
the fairing. How much tech is in the fairing? Like I'm sure a lot.
A surprising amount, yeah.
Right.
But like as far as like sensitive electronics and stuff, it's,
Right.
it's not as sensitive. I think it's more like the material. There's a lot of like sound deadening and stuff in there. A lot of things
To
that
protect whatever's inside. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like acoustic dampening. There's like there are avionics and things like that, but for you could probably waterproof that. I don't know. I'm saying fairly easy. I have no idea. But in general, it's such a important piece of the vehicle. If something if that would break apart,
Then
you're
everything's
gone.
yeah.
You're gone. Like that's a really really vital piece of equipment. So the idea of it just sitting around in the ocean for a bit and then doing it again is kind of scary.
Yeah,
and I can
salt
see
water is not the friendliest thing.
it's not. But of course, boats hang out in salt water all day and they're fine. So like you can make things that can
Right.
handle it. So it'll be interesting. And
Just take 2 hulls from a boat and put it.
Yeah.
they just literally take 2 like bay liners. We're done. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how this works out. I'm assuming it will because I'm assuming they've done their homework, and that'll be really fun. Really fun to see. Yeah.
And June. That's very soon.
June-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know how this stuff is
We
now.
may have a pickup truck unveiling around then too, if rumors are going to be true. So
Really? Dang.
Elon will have another busy month on his hands.
Well, and he wants to do a presentation about Starship.
Oh, cool.
I guess they've been talking about talking to the comms team. They kind of keep saying like I like just asking them questions and watching them try to give me a blank face answer, of like we'll see. But like
Yeah.
I'm like are we gonna get a new presentation about Starship? And they're like probably.
I mean, Elon
most
loves
likely.
this stuff. So
Elon loves it.
Yeah,
Well, he does it once a year, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
that'd be cool.
I think it's just been hard because it keeps changing, and the more it changes, the almost the less confidence it can show people. Like, you know what I mean, in a sense. Like,
Yeah.
we're just seeing stuff that you normally wouldn't see from a rocket company. We're seeing them iterate on the fly, and then they're telling us about it. And normally that all happens behind closed doors.
Right.
I love that working out in the open is really cool. I think.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just nuts. So that brings up the opposite of that would be totally designing your rocket and launch pad and everything, building one of the biggest rockets ever made behind closed doors and not telling anyone about it, aka Blue Origin and New Glenn. That is their
New
next.
Glenn is the rocket.
That's the rocket, and it's going to be huge. I mean, this thing is almost as big as a Saturn V. It'll make Falcon Heavy look like a joke almost. It's that big. It's huge.
Will it
Single
be the most
booster, or-
powerful when it comes out?
I haven't seen thrust numbers on it yet, but I think it's just a little bit more powerful than Falcon Heavy. Actually, no, it might be actually less. I don't remember. It might actually be less power at liftoff than Falcon Heavy, but it's more efficient. It runs on.
I'm sure Bezos will want to change that. After.
Well, there's more to it than power. Running the first stage runs methalox, so it runs on methane. So if it beats Starship Online, it'll be the first orbital rocket to use methane.
It's funny how they're all going to that now.
Isn't that weird? That it's a good middle ground.
I mean, I understand why SpaceX wants to do that because of the whole Mars thing. but
Right.
Is there some efficiency reason that Blue Origin's going that
It's
way?
actually a really good middle ground between hydrogen and kerosene.
So methalox, that's methane and liquid oxygen.
Yep. So you say like hydrolox would be hydrogen and liquid oxygen. Methalox and kerolox would be like what people consider
That's
kerosene.
currently.
Yep.
Yeah.
And hydrogen is used. Hydrogen doesn't make for a very good first stage. It's a really efficient fuel, but it's not very energy dense. So the tanks are physically huge. You have to have a lot more of it. So it's the thrust typically produced by engines like that aren't as powerful as a kerolox engine. On
Is
the
that
other
why
hand,
the compression is so high in the Raptor?
that's one of the
to
good reasons.
make up for that?
Well, but the other thing is, you can have a very high specific impulse, basically like miles per gallon. You can think of it with hydrolox of like 450, but not as much thrust. Kerolox, on the other hand, like what's used on Falcon 9 and stuff, can have a very high amount of thrust. It's the most powerful as far as like thrust to weight ratio typically, but it's not as efficient. Like the absolute maximum you can get is like maybe like 350 or something for specific impulse, so again, like kind of your fuel economy. Methalox is literally right in the middle of those two. So it can produce
kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, kind of a Goldilocks. And it's weird that it hasn't been used before.
Goldie Methalox.
Oh.
Goldie Methalox.
That's golden liquid oxygen.
God.
Goldilocks.
Oh, but the another big advantage is that it's really cheap. Natural gas is crazy cheap, and it doesn't really pollute. You know, burning it literally if you release it in the atmosphere unburnt, it pollutes. But if it's burnt, it actually just produces water and carbon monoxide.
It's like reminds me of the arguments back in the space shuttle days of like, man, gas prices are expensive, and we're putting it all in that rocket there. Come on.
Yeah.
You're like, no.
Is that unleaded they're putting in there?
Yeah. But while we're talking,
Super
the reason I brought up Blue Origin is they had a little debacle with the Air Force was trying to basically get contracts up to like 2028. So almost 10 years worth of flights, and they weren't allowing New Glenn to bid that far ahead. So Blue Origin was basically, hey, why don't you guys only do the first half of these contracts and then open up another round of contracts for like for 2024 and beyond or something, right? There's something like that. I haven't really had time to totally dive into this yet, but so they're basically arguing like, let us bid on a rocket that hasn't flown yet, you know, and that's interesting for them to say that because if they get them to agree to bid on a rocket that's never flown, Starship, SpaceX could be like, okay,
well, let's do this. Yeah.
So if they're bidding, we'll bid on this, and guess what? We're gonna undercut you like crazy.
Yeah.
Because Starship will be fully reusable.
Which is funny because that's kind of Amazon's game is to undercut people to put them out of business and then take over, right?
Yes.
That's
Chickens coming home to roost.
That's their strategy.
So that brings up a whole. So that's the funny thing is like Blue Origin. I love them. I am really excited about New Glenn. But if you're gonna call that game, good luck.
Be careful.
Be careful what you wish for. And you know they complain about stuff like, well, SpaceX got a bid. SpaceX is flying rockets.
Right.
You know? They actually have a rocket.
They have a rocket that's doing work. You know.
Right.
And SpaceX couldn't bid on rockets before they got them built and flown and proven out for the Air Force. SpaceX had to work their butts off to convince people to allow them to bid on their Falcon 9 that had already been flying for years.
Yeah.
So it's like, if Blue Origin gets special treatment, I will be very shocked, but also it could bite them in the butt if they really go that way.
Interesting.
Because I'm telling you, once Starship is fully hashed out, and I mean, look at Falcon Heavy. We just watched a rocket that's 90% reusable. You know, that can fly.
It's actually flying.
And it's flying.
Right.
That has crazy capabilities. And they're doing that now. Imagine what Starship will do to the industry. I mean.
When literally all you're paying for is the fuel.
And
when will that
some
be?
checkouts,
What's like 5 years from now or something?
Oh, I think well within that.
Really?
Well within that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be operational.
And Starship is also the Dear Moon thing.
Yes. That's what they want to fly people on for Dear Moon.
Okay, so when did they first land the Falcon 9? Was it 2015?
End of 2015, December 21st, 2015.
It's only been 4 years since they landed their first one.
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah.
And then yesterday they landed 3 at the same time.
Yeah.
Or in the same launch.
Yeah, does that count as 3 in terms of their like record
Mm-hmm.
of how many flights or rockets they've launched?
Absolutely. They could consider booster landings. Flights, so the landings could actually become greater than the launches someday.
No, yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
So this is one launch with 3 landings.
Yeah.
So someday, if there was enough Falcon Heavy launches,
Oh, okay.
the number of landings could outnumber the launches,
right.
Hey, okay.
which is just weird to think about.
Like you have 140% success rate. Something's wrong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, just how the math works out.
Yeah.
Like, let's look at it.
It's funny.
It's super weird,
But so when you were talking about like being less than 5 years before a Starship comes up, like 5 years ago I would have been like, shut up.
Yeah.
But now I'm just going,
Totally.
it's insane, man.
Right.
I'm just.
I mean,
If anybody watches my TMI channel, I after the launch, I kind of just had to go out to the car and sit there for a second and just think about like how fast this stuff is changing, and it's mind blowing.
and I think the craziest thing is it's actually competition now. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
before it was a space race, literally like country to country, just tons of money thrown at it. Now it's like perfect examples of Blue Origin versus, you know, SpaceX. They're both racing to make a
Rocket
huge
Lab and everyone else, right?
and Rocket Lab on a different scale compared to all the other small sat launches that are
Right.
coming out.
Right.
And you know, and ULA is sitting there having to go like, oh god, you know, what are we? How are we going to compete? with this?
Starliner.
Well, that's Boeing and yeah, well, close.
SLS.
That's NASA's.
That's not ULA?
Not really. Boeing's prime contractor on that. You'll get it someday.
I thought I said a smart thing.
I am getting better.
You are getting
I
better.
will say I felt really proud at the Tesla event being one of the guys that had a clue about what was going on. Yeah, I'm like, well, that's a Raptor engine. It wouldn't do that. And they're like, what do you mean? Why did they change it? I'm like, what? Like, come on.
Throw the table. Come on.
How do you not know this?
Do you not watch Everyday Astronaut?
Yeah.
No. No, we don't.
I did have one question for you, Tim. When the rocket is, I guess it's during the boost back, or when it's on its descent, when the rocket the booster's coming back, the white little quick flashes, are those the COPV things that we'll see in the Roadster?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what it is, right?
The nitrogen thrusters, so cold gas thrusters. So they don't have any reaction. It's just literally they don't mix with anything. It's literally just compressed nitrogen, which is mostly what our atmosphere is. Really highly compressed, like 8,000 psi or something stupid, and then you just shoot it out.
Right. Okay.
And that's exactly what that is. And that's also what's on the inside the fairings to control the fairings so they enter appropriately.
Right.
And I think literally a system almost exactly like that is what's going to
Got it. Yeah.
be in the
the
Roadster.
capsules, the Dragon capsules.
Those are actually monoprop, or they're a little bit different. They do have reactions. I don't remember if it's monoprop or if it's just.
So it ignites.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Okay. I always figured it was just a gas thing.
Well, so when it's just
just
cold
for the
gas,
fine tuning adjustments and stuff.
Yeah, even those fine tunings are. I think they might use a dual hypergolic where it's still two fuels, but as soon as they touch, they ignite. There's no other things. So they can just open valves on them.
Got it.
And they're just pressure fed. Those ones are. So they don't have pumps to spin up or anything. You literally just open some valves and then go. Tss. I mean, they can be crazy quick and crazy accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate little.
Well, when the Crew Dragon was docking, and there's just all around is these
nuts,
little things
isn't it?
and
nuts. I mean, just to keep orientation and perfectly point itself. It's crazy, and that's just because if you just have cold gas, your maximum specific impulse again is only 70, and having some kind of dual prop or hypergolic or some kind of monoprop, just burning it literally increases the chamber pressure and all that stuff, and you can get 200, 300, probably more 200 or something specific impulse. So you can get a lot more bang for your buck.
Sure.
And when you're on orbit, you want to have a lot of that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So
I wanted to just talk for just a quick second about on Wednesday. What day is it? Yeah, Wednesday. So I paid for the Feel the Heat package to watch it from the viewing center over at Kennedy Space Center, or the viewing site, and it was so. First of all, I thought it was just some stands out there, and I'd be sitting out roasting in the sun all day long. But there's a whole facility out there, the Saturn V Center, I think is what it's called. There's a Saturn V inside of it. There's actual exhibitions in there. There's the Apollo 14 capsules in there, and all these space. I mean,
and the Apollo 1 tribute. Do you see that?
Yeah, that was really cool. So anybody that wants to do the Feel the Heat package, I'm letting you know what to expect because it was so much more than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I told you it's awesome.
yeah, you did, but I ignored you. So, but they had food. They had drinks, and I mean booze. And you got 2 free drinks with a little band that you go out there. Yeah. It was a whole thing, and so luckily I wasn't out in the sun all day long. But clearly they know that people are going to be sitting out there for a long time.
Yeah.
But there were 4 or 5,000 people out there.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, it was.
I'll bet you Thursday.
That's a bummer.
I bet it dried up like crazy.
Probably
because the press even. I mean, the people that know this stuff and expect delays and all that stuff. But beyond halved from Wednesday to Thursday. Probably a third almost.
The Tesla event was similar. It was probably about half.
Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, almost everybody fit on the 7th floor viewing deck of the Exploration Tower.
That's not very big, is it?
No.
Wow.
I mean, it says only 20 people allowed. Probably had 30 or more up there. Yeah. Someone said that. I'm like, yeah, everyone else go inside. Leave. I was there first.
Yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, the Banana Creek Saturn V Center, the Feel the Heat package is definitely, I think, for general public, especially a launch at 39A, that's the best place to see a launch. Sometimes NASA sells Causeway tickets, which is actually where I was standing, for NASA missions. So this, this wasn't a NASA mission. This is a SpaceX mission, but SpaceX launches NASA missions. So especially the CRS missions, lots of times they do sell Causeway tickets to those. and that is an awesome place if it's landing. You know, if it's landing, Causeway is probably the best place. If it's launching, the Saturn V Field Heat Center is awesome too. And I do have that for those listening. I do have a video and a website article, and I need to update it.
Which is really good, by the way. When I found it, it was it's very
good.
cool.
Thank you. About where to view and all that stuff. I need to probably do an update on that soon. But
I probably would have done the same, but we had the free access from Tesla. I'm like, okay, I got the whole family.
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Things start to add up.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
After like the third time of rescheduling flights, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm so glad it went off yesterday for you guys. That would have been a total
that would have been
pain
tough
in the
too.
butt.
But that was a pretty special day. I mean, pretty cool.
I know scrubs suck and the delays suck, but that anticipation almost makes it like when it does happen, like you just feel many emotions then.
I woke up today and I forgot that it actually went off. I was like, oh, okay, we got to get ready to go to the launch. I'm like, wait a minute. no, it actually went.
It's like time to make the donuts.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, for me, they're long days, really long. I mean, I worked in the past, Wednesday and Thursday, probably worked 25 hours between those 2 days pretty easily, 26 hours or something. I'm just back and forth and setting up this. And by the way, I didn't even tell you guys about my live stream. Did you guys happen to?
It like went out, right?
I just
saw
that. I wasn't going to say anything.
No, guys, I'm getting murdered on YouTube, basically. Comments of like, this is the worst thing you've ever done. Unsubscribe and stuff. I'm like,
I want my money back.
Oh, come on.
I spent so much money and time
What
trying.
happened? What caused it?
I don't know.
Did the live view thing die?
Yeah.
It did?
Right?
Is that what it was?
Right at it didn't die. Right at T0, it lost signal though. Literally,
Yeah,
like
I
3,
saw that.
2, 1. Be right back screen for me. Like it just died.
With the thing flipped upside
Yeah,
down.
so it's just like it's almost a cruel joke of like when it cut out, So I missed the whole launch on the live stream.
Oh.
A good 15 seconds of dead air. Or well, not dead air. It's a song in Falcon Heavy upside down on the pad.
Yeah, I remember I saw that. I thought that was
And
cute.
then the booster landing. So people are like, not only did you miss the takeoff, but you put a guy in front of you for the landing. I didn't put a guy.
Yeah.
The guy moved into my
Hey, buddy,
frame.
could you move over here? Because I don't want anybody to see anything.
Right. Like I framed it up so that when it lands, I had a clear line of sight, and a guy moved into my frame. Perfectly. So
I think you're better off with that without those subscribers if they were to.
Yeah, if they're not to understand the effort and all that stuff, whatever. I'm still
such
trying to find
an endeavor, man. Like it's funny, people after the Tesla, like after the launch and stuff, people are like, did you get a really good shot of it? I'm like, I wasn't recording the rockets. There's professionals. I was recording the reaction of the people. Like that is way cooler.
Yeah,
and
definitely. And
like,
you can pull footage from all the other people.
My plan is to, in the video I'm going to do on it, is to have our reaction when these things happen as the main frame, and then in the corner have like the SpaceX feed of like what was actually happening, and seeing this little tiny like glimmering thing, and then seeing the close-up shot.
Absolutely.
So you can get a sense.
Yep.
But for you, like, you're actually one of those professional filmers there.
Right.
So that's
and that's the other thing, is not only was I trying to do the live stream, I also had another camera that I set up so I could do 120 frames a second for launch and landing, which turned out great. I'll be sharing those and using that footage. And then I also had 2 remote cameras out on the pad too. That there's one that's cursed. There's this one location, and every time I'm like, I'm gonna get it this time finally. It's just a normal place. Like there's nothing special about it.
10th launch. So
And literally, I think this is my 4th launch where I've placed a camera there and it doesn't work. One time, like the camera turned and just got a picture of the water tower.
Oh, jeez.
And like almost every time I go out there, the camera's either dead. Something happens. This time, the trigger thing was dead. Like it was just
like an alligator or something that goes out there,
like
there's chewing on it.
There's Tim's. Get it, guys.
It's the same one every time.
Every time. He's like, ah.
He's like, I know that camera.
And then the other camera that I had, the other remote camera that I had set up, it took too long to wake the camera up for some reason or something. And so my first shot is it out of frame.
Nice.
Like all you see is the flames. That was the first shot.
I thought I missed a bunch of the stuff because I use a GoPro vlog rig now, and the GoPros, if you guys, anyone that does this, the numbering schemes on the files are just wacky.
Bonkers.
I can't explain any of this. So like if you do a photo versus a video versus a time lapse, it will have like a different numbering scheme for all those.
Weird.
So if you do a time lapse, it'll show up like way over here versus the video shows up over here, and sometimes the videos have like, I don't know why, but like maybe if you do a time lapse between 2 videos, it'll change the numbering scheme for the following videos so they show up out of order. And I'm just like, who made this up? Like it's terrible. So like just going through the footage trying to find the shots you want are like, You know,
Yeah,
it's
impossible.
stupid. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, so you put a lot of work into this.
I hope.
No, I want to commend you. Like I've been here with Tim, and I've seen the effort he's putting into it, and there's so many variables, and there's so much that you can't control, and you do the best you can. And you know, you're not CNN. You know, you're one guy.
Right.
And so everybody lighten up on my boy.
We're trying, and I want to try to get the best. Maybe the best option for me isn't standing out there on the causeway. Maybe I have to find a better option. You know, like maybe it's people I think prefer me to stay at home, to be honest. You know, but
I've thought about that
like,
for Tesla events. Like, same question. Like, are you going to live stream the Model Y unveiling? I'm like, no. Like they have a whole crew.
Yeah.
Like they have a beautiful. They have mics on these guys. Like,
Well, and I used to live stream the SpaceX launches, and honestly, I kind of stopped because I was like, watch Tim's. He does a way better job than I do.
That was the same thing people would ask me, like, because if I'm not physically at a Tesla event, I can be at home in my studio doing that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, adding commentary and like real time with good, you know, quality video and stuff. But yeah, so it is interesting. Like you want to go, but you know.
I know. I'm trying to figure that out. Maybe someday I would love to. There's a couple places out of the press site that like CBS has an actual like building out of the press site, and Florida Today a few, and almost no one uses them at all. So I would love to talk to someone about like, can I rent a segment of this? You know,
they actually like a
desk
corner,
literally
with like viewing.
Well, they even have rooftops, so like if I could sit up there and have like a station. The big thing is I don't want to take gear out there every time and set up a whole thing. But if I could have a computer that's dedicated out there to a live stream setup, cool. You know, and go out there and do what I do at home, but physically right there. I mean, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. If you're listening and you have one of those buildings and you're not using it, hit me up.
For those of you listening that have buildings at Kennedy Space Center
press site, hit me up.
Hit us.
Oh, but so we got some Tesla stuff to talk about too.
Yeah. The is it Fugazi? It's the Model 3 base model.
Yeah, what?
Is gone. It's gone. It never existed. These aren't the drones you're looking for.
So
right?
They really just full blown.
So okay, the news people that maybe probably already saw this was the Model 3 $35,000 version, the standard model, is no longer available for order.
On the website.
Didn't people order
it? On the website, yes, people did order it. It is no longer available for order on the website. You can order the standard model plus and then call in and say, no, I don't want that one. I want this one instead. And they'll be like, are you sure? But
let's talk you into
people that have already ordered the regular standard model will get the standard model plus for free. And it's like a $2,000 difference or something like that.
Aren't they software?
It's software locked, so it probably is like the long range version.
Yeah.
And really the big difference between these cars was the interior.
Yeah.
Because we all have the premium interior, and the standard model was going to have the textile stuff. It's not cloth, but it's kind of like it's not the leather or whatever we have. So that. It never, like, zero of those have been produced and will be produced.
Whoa.
Tesla put out a blog post about it, and the reasoning was that the people ordering the standard plus was 6 times greater than the people ordering the standard. So in order to just make it more efficient for them, they're just going to make those, and anyone that already ordered standard will just get that for free.
Interesting.
Which, when they came out with all of that, I remember looking at that going, $2,000 for like 40 miles more range and the premium interior, like that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Like you should just do that. You should not get the standard one because it's $2,000. Yes, it's $2,000. It's not like nothing.
Right.
But for what you get, there's a lot
over
of value.
5 years of paying.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Model 3 Standard Edition is gone effectively, and they didn't comment on when. So you can still get it off menu, right? Is what they said, but so it's kind of funny. A company going to all online ordering, now you have to call someone to order your car.
They're not even gonna make the seats or the plastic different thing in the middle. So what are they?
Right. They probably just prototyped it, designed it, and then few people ordered it, so they were like, forget it.
So weird.
Yeah. So in addition to that, now Autopilot is not an option that you can buy; it is included. You have to buy it, but it is, I think, $1,000 cheaper than it was before. I'd have to look up the specs exactly. So now you can't get Tesla without autopilot.
Really?
Right. You can get it without full self-driving, but you cannot buy one without autopilot.
So what's the cheapest cash price? Like, what?
I'd have to look it up.
What
Yeah.
can
I think
you?
I saw 39,500.
And that
Is that what it
includes
is?
That's what I
autopilot
saw.
though.
Yeah.
Yes. Versus
And a
30.
semi-premium interior.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That seems okay. But
It's
the
cheap,
sad thing-
right?
Yeah, that's insanely cheap. The sad part is they're gonna get like I bet the press for the past week was just like, or whenever this happened, I just have not been paying
Yesterday.
attention. Yes. Oh yeah. There's no way I caught it yesterday. I bet they're going nuts. Like Tesla lies about cars,
Oh,
and it's like
it's already started.
39.5. Standard
Cash?
range plus.
cash, or is that like after incentives or whatever?
That's cash.
Really?
Yeah, after savings, up in the air about that. 31,450 is what it says.
Well, I mean, even right now, if you still ordered, you'd probably get 3,500 tax credit.
3750. Yeah, you
$37.50.
get that because it'd be before the end of June. So yeah.
So
That's still
right there, you're at
couple
your
months away.
$35,000 car basically. People need
Yeah.
to stop
And
trying.
and it's a and it is a much better $35,000 car.
insane. It includes autopilot.
Yes. Oh man.
Yeah, it's standard now. Autopilot's based.
Yeah,
on
That's
standard.
there is no
nuts.
option. Now, so there's an interesting history here if you guys aren't familiar, but Tesla actually made and I'm gonna might get some of these specs wrong, so let me forgive me, but they made I believe it was a 40 kilowatt hour Model S back in the day.
Really?
And it was because they were trying to make it cheaper for people.
Yeah.
And then that same basic thing happened here. That lasted for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And then they were like, nobody's ordering it. And then they scrapped it and they went to the other one, which honestly makes a lot more sense because the Model S is more of the higher end luxury vehicle.
Right.
You don't expect that to be a cheaper car.
Right.
So they've done this before. In fact, I think Fred from Electric actually predicted this exact same thing would happen to the Model 3 Standard, where they they've done this in the past with the Model S 40 kilowatt hour version, and then it went away, and so we wouldn't be surprised if this goes away sometime soon. So it's gone.
Wow.
But I think your reaction I think says it all. Like it's a great deal still. Like, for what you get, it's incredible.
Think about like a Nissan Leaf is probably what 30 something.
No, it's up there. Yeah,
Like 35 probably.
When I bought my first Tesla, the used Model S, I paid $50,000 for it, or 51 or something. And at the time, the reason I did that is because the fully spec'd out Nissan Leaf with all the options and stuff, which you kind of have to get, otherwise it's like not worth it, was like $45,000. And so I'm looking at it going, $45,000 for this, which goes 80 miles on a charge, versus
Right.
a used. I think my Model S had under 10,000 miles on it. It was
Right.
like pretty new.
Yeah.
Didn't have autopilot or anything, but I'm like, well, whatever. Like I didn't have autopilot before that,
Right,
so
right.
I didn't care.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's $5,000 more. That's like easily double the value. So this is still the best Tesla you can probably get for that price.
Well, I mean that no one else is going to be close to that for 40 grand. Even if you
No.
bought, a high end, a 3 Series BMW or something at 40 grand,
It's the low end BMW. at that
low
point,
end
yeah.
with like no options, and this will be pretty darn specced out, comparatively, and still have really healthy range, 260 or something.
240.
240.
That's good.
Plenty.
Yeah.
That's plenty for.
It
most
depends what
people.
you're doing. If you're going on cross-country road trips to
Yeah.
Boca Chica, yeah, that extra 40 or so, 50 miles
Makes a
makes a big difference. Yeah, but for most people, this is
Oh.
more than
And
Well, I was reading somewhere that because everybody is so into pickups and SUVs in the United States anyway, that the average price is the average car buying price is around 40,000
sure.
or 45.
I believe that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's.
Do we?
I just hate the optics of it because the whole thing was 35,000. That was like what everybody was talking about.
Now it's gone. Yeah.
And now it's gone. And it just gives more ammunition to those people to say, oh, they can't deliver, or oh, they
Elon lies.
bait and switch, and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
I mean, that was actually, it's funny because that narrative has been around for a long time, and it actually was way worse back in the day when before the Model S even got released. There was an event, very famously, where it was a bait and switch, where you had already put down a deposit, and you were told it would be this price, and then they brought everyone together, and they told them it was going to be more expensive, and you could not refund your deposit. You could cancel your order, but you would not get your deposit back.
Wasn't that
And
with the Roadster?
And Elon, was that? No, I think it was a Model S.
Oh, because it was originally supposed to be like 70 or something, and went up to like 100,000 or something.
Yeah,
stupid.
and so Elon even in that event during an interview was like, "Well, I guess people are mad because it was a bait and switch, and It's kind of what it was.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Yeah, come to think of it, that's
Yeah. So
Whoops.
look, they need a COO. That's. I did a whole video on it. People hated the video because Sheryl Sandberg was the one I suggested. But whatever. Like, they need someone who's a great business person that can figure this stuff out. Because one thing that pisses off customers more than anything is when you change the price on them like this. And
Every
even if
3
it's,
months too.
It's
I think you're being nice.
Yeah.
right. It was like every
3
week
weeks.
for a while, which is funny because I have like these calculators with these things, and everyone's like, "Go update it." I'm like,
That's a full-time job now.
well, I'm like, and then just like wait, go to lunch and come back and update it again. No, like,
Right.
you know, but
They need to settle that down,
to figure
don't
this
they?
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
like. There were other Tesla news about like the Gigafactory 1 and Panasonic thing, like changing their plans or
Yeah.
whatever. Those, I think, are things that like customers don't care about.
Right.
Like maybe people that are shorting the stock or just trying to play that angle of it care.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, like most people don't even know what Gigafactory 1
Is.
is, and or even that Panasonic makes the batteries or no one cares, right? But when you change the price on the car, like when I put down a deposit on something and I'm expecting this, and then you drop the price the week after I get it, and a refund is going to take me 3 months to get my money back, and then I'm going to have to order again and go through this whole thing.
Yeah.
That pisses people off. And the one thing Tesla has going for them above all are the customers. You know, all of us, everyone that owns a Tesla, I've never met anyone that's like, yeah, it's whatever. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's the most amazing thing, right? And so that is like their best thing are their customers. And when you do this, you're kind of screwing with them. And so I don't think this is a bad move at all, but I just think they need to stop. Hire someone that can figure this out and be in charge of it, and let Elon go invent the next thing, right? Or go invent Starship, or do something else that isn't messing with the actual customer base, because that would be bad, I think.
Yeah. Agreed. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's still a great deal, though.
No, it's a better deal, really, but
Well, what everybody should do is get an X because it's way better.
I had to disagree. I honestly have to
now we're
disagree.
gonna have to arm wrestle for this one.
Okay, here's the deal. So I ended up renting a Model X. I still think if you are considering owning a Tesla, but you're like really nervous, rent one sometime. I mean, they're all over Turo. I got this one from FrunkYeah.com. They have they have cars in Tampa and San Diego. But rent one. Drive it around for a week.
Yeah.
Live with it for a minute. See what you think of it. And I guarantee you'll get out of that car and into something else, and you'll go, what?
Right.
How do I drive this now? Like
Nothing compares.
nothing compares. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know we're
The
fanboying,
only
but
thing that
nothing compares.
Well, I was talking to someone at the event about this, because I was like, yeah, I bought a new Tesla, and they're like, oh, you bought another Tesla? Okay, it's a Tesla. I'm like, of course. Like, what else would I? Like, are you kidding me? But the only thing I think that would have a shot for, especially someone like me that's had Teslas for a while, is the Porsche Taycan.
Right.
That thing looks sick.
That looks good.
But it's also
like the
$100,000, $100,000.
Or like the
car.
Rivians coming up and stuff.
Right.
Like there's ones coming.
Right.
But right now, no chance.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I rented a Model X for the week while I was out here. It's a 75D, so its range is a little bit crippled compared to what I'm used to. 240. It's actually, I think about that 240-ish.
That's
So
good, actually. I thought it would be lower than that.
It might be like 230 or something.
Yeah.
So I'm living that standard range or whatever model right now
Yeah.
life. And that's why I had to get the hotel that has the only hotel that has a charger out here in the Cape, because otherwise, like yesterday when I was back, actually Wednesday and Thursday when I'm back and forth, I had to be able to charge in between some of those, or else I wouldn't make it back out there and back. Like it's there's a lot of running around out here, and I have to say, newsflash, I like my 3 better. Yeah. For a couple reasons. Yeah, I think the actual fit and finish of the 3 and the materials used, I think is nicer, and especially the ergonomics. Holy cow!
What about that? Explain that.
Like the cup holder on your elbow. Why do you want a cup holder in your
right?
elbow?
Oh, yeah.
In the X and the S has that too. Like that's
why you slide it forward.
It's an elbow holder.
So, yeah.
You're not supposed to put your cups in it. What are you thinking?
It's that type of thing where I'm just like, why?
The lack of couple. Actually, with the center console, there's more. But my Model S doesn't have a center console.
Oh,
It
right.
has
It's
what
just that flat thing.
Yeah, it's what
that always freaked me out. That's so.
they call it the yacht bottom. I actually think it's cool. Like we had a center console that we added in from the guys EV Annex here, and it's a great product. But my wife loved putting her purse and all the stuff. She loved having this like giant space down there.
Right, I can see that.
So,
but the even the steering wheel and the way the system works with like the knobs on the 3 is amazing. It physically just feels more buttoned up. It's like my 3's quieter, rides better. Actually, I thought the X would be way more like floaty and luxurious feeling. Maybe it's because it's rolling on 21s or 22s.
22s, yeah.
Big rims.
Yeah.
So it might be a little.
What do you have
clunkier.
the suspension set at?
Normal.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like I don't know. It's not. It doesn't actually feel as refined of a car to me as the 3. The 3 just seems like they really learned a lot of lessons probably from the S and the X and put together a really well. I mean, the 3 compares exactly to like my 3 Series BMW, like a nice well buttoned up car. I actually think the 3's better, like fit and finish wise even. But the X just feels a little bit like clunkier, I guess would be the right word. Yeah. And it's too big for me.
I think the interior design is definitely a bit dated now.
Yeah.
Where like around the screen there's these big fat bezels. Mm-hmm. Right. Nowadays you'd be like you wouldn't do that. Right. You would just have it be flush or something like that. In fact, the Roadster is like that. Like it has this giant screen in the middle, but you can't really tell it's there because there's not like a big frame around it. It's just kind of like flush with the rest of the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I'm ready for an S and X interior update. I think
I hope so.
it's time.
I've never been a fan of the X, but I'm not really into SUVs either. So
It's really not much of an SUV though, if you think about it. Like it's small compared to like a real SUV.
Oh, it feels huge. I feel
Because you're coming from the smallest one.
in a boat. Like, it feels so big. That's the other thing too. I just feel like I'm swimming in it.
I remember when I first got in an X, did we have our 3 yet? Maybe we had our 3. Yeah, I think the 3 was in the shop again, which is why we had the X loaner. And I just remember getting in and being like, whoa, this is a Tesla. I was blown away. I was like, yeah. I was just like, wow, this felt to me so much more. And all the weird little things, like the door opening when you walk up automatically and you get in, tap the brake, it automatically closes. Yeah. The big giant windshield. Yeah. Sitting up higher, I really like because I used to have a truck and I was used to sitting up higher. And then I got my S and now 3. I'm like especially a lowered Model 3. I'm like, like this. I think perspective adds a lot to it. Like the steering wheel on the Model 3 for me, I can't stand.
Really?
Because there are some things that I'm like, it'd be nice if I just had one button for that. And on the S and X you do. But on the 3, there's like, you have to click this way to click in, and they're not like as at least on my S, they're like really smooth and easy. They don't protrude as much. Mm-hmm. The only reason I feel that way is because that's what I had. Used to.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite. Like
and a lot of people are that way, where they think it's just confirmation bias, right? Yeah. It's like we all have it, and we can't escape it. None of them are bad, right? Like I think the 3 is fantastic. It doesn't fit my family as well, which is why the Model Y I think would be great. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure some of your perspective is that too. Definitely. Of like, oh well, you love your car so much, and this is so different.
It does crack me up that the 3 cars they make right now all have 3 different door handles.
Oh yeah, you were mentioning that.
The Model S, the door handles pop out.
And the X really doesn't have door handles.
Yeah, they're like door buttons.
It is funny when people go up try to like grab it, and they're like, how come? What?
So it doesn't come out
at all.
No.
You just touch it.
You push it and they open.
Okay.
But only in the it's weird. It's only in the front half of the front door and the back half of the back door.
Knowing where it is,
the whole thing should push.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's confusing. So like I was sitting there at first like bopping the back of it.
Yeah.
Boop boop or booping, I guess, depends. Boopity boop, and it wasn't
booped
doing
the snoot on the car.
Yeah.
It's not open.
It's like a British term or something, right? The boot. So yeah, I do agree that some of those things are a little bit weird. Like, but if it's you driving it and you have it set up, you just walk up and you never even open the door. You never even touch it. Yeah, it just automatically opens like magic.
Yeah, it's. Cool
have you had any times opening the Falcon Wing doors where it didn't open all the way?
I was
like you parked too close to somebody or something.
Prank kind of on my friends out of the press site. And I pre-opened the doors and then drove the car underneath their car to offer them a sunshade.
That's awesome.
But no, I not really. I haven't hardly used them.
Oh, did you guys get? So, sorry, switching gears a little bit, but I think now the Model 3 key fob, which I don't think you guys have, right? Mm-hmm. You can now do summon from it. They said.
I've heard that.
Did you guys get that update recently? Because we all got the 5% power boost, whatever thing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things before that I thought was... So my Model S doesn't have that because it doesn't have autopilot. But when I learned of that in a regular Model S, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, because I need to pull my car forward now with my phone. I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me unlock my phone. Let me open up the app. Let me go here. Now it has to connect. Now I have to click this. It's like, versus key fob, it's like, click, click, and it goes. It's just like really easy.
Will it do
but
that?
now they have that.
It won't do that advanced summon, will it, with the key fob? Because
I don't know. No, I don't
we
think
need to
so.
have GPS on it if you were to do that.
Well, for the key fob to work, you have to be close, right?
Probably. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't have one.
Well, no, but I mean, with my Model S, I couldn't be like, I couldn't do the key fob from like the other side of the parking lot.
Right.
No, yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
Have you guys tried the? I didn't get the advanced summon though. Did you?
I don't.
I haven't had a chance to look at it. There was an update like just before I left. And I
Joe
think it
doesn't
had
leave his
that.
house.
It had that. And it had the what was the other one?
Can navigate on autopilot update.
Oh, the confirmed.
Oh,
No,
the
confirmed.
and the it's supposed to recognize red lights.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I haven't actually. It's not been showing me that it's recognizing lights yet, and I haven't seen anything.
It's funny
for it
that they
yet.
say like that. Almost to me is like, just don't tell me that,
Yeah.
because now guess what I'm gonna go do.
Yeah, really though. Like,
You know?
why, if it's in
You're
the
like getting
background?
closer and closer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, literally. What are they thinking
Why
about
tell
that?
me that? Now you influenced my behavior.
Yes.
Right.
To potentially endanger myself.
Like
Or-
this is a suggested post. You're like, oh, screw that thing. And you're like,
Right.
oh, why aren't these things working? It's like, well, because you're telling people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like the whole point of randomized testing is you're not supposed to tell.
Right. Right.
It's like, here, you get the real drugs and you get the placebo, okay?
Yeah.
Let's see if this works. You're like,
Right.
well, of course it's not going to work. I know it's a placebo.
Yeah. But it is great.
It tastes so good. It's just sugar.
Yeah.
But yeah, the navigate on autopilot, the no confirm navigate on autopilot is incredible.
You've been using it?
Yeah, my 3 got it the day before I left, so I got to use it for a full day, and I was actually running around a lot that day. And then the X here has it, and it's nuts. It's nuts. It really feels more and more like the car is actually driving itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Super
just crazy.
Yeah, I hung out with that dude, Andy Sly, the other day at the Tesla event, and he said he drove from Louisville to here with that, and he said it was really great. He said it worked perfectly. Yeah, which is good to hear.
Yeah. I know your mileage varies on.
We'll
your
see.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try it when I get back home. But and it's weird. Yeah, I mean, certain spots it doesn't work at all. In other ones,
Right.
it's like it's scary. Like I definitely don't do it with my family in the car.
I've got a couple of road trips coming up over the next month, so I'll get to test it. I mean, I just don't drive it that much. I go from
Right.
my house to the coffee shop, and that's
Yeah.
90% of my driving. But
Yeah.
I'll get to test that out on the way down to Austin.
But the coffee shop is what, 40 miles away?
4 hours away.
1 mile away.
Yeah. Well, it's Texas. I just figure everything.
Yeah.
That's not that far.
Yeah, so it's right next door. It's an hour and a half drive.
There was something else. What was it? Navigate on something. I don't remember now. Sorry. I'll get back. Get back to me, guys.
We got Mumbling Tim.
No, what was it? There's something else that
Tesla related?
Yeah, Tesla related that just came out, and they mentioned hardware 3. Elon said that hardware 3 right now will run at 5% to do what hardware 2 is doing at 80%.
Yeah.
CPU capability.
That's cool.
And full redundancy would be 10%. So
Let's do
And this is the neural
version.
net.
yeah,
This is the
do the-
neural net chip that they're working on.
yes, that's coming out,
And I think it's already in cars.
It's already in cars, and I think they're already starting to ramp up.
Because so there's something about, is it the VIN number or something with the registrations with the DMV or something? There's a code in there that signifies what version of the autopilot hardware is in the car. And it's been, I think, a month or two. Someone discovered that they that the next, like a new higher number was being used in the cars in SX and 3.
Wow.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already out there.
Can we get ours retrofitted with that?
If you bought full self, well, yes. If you bought full self-driving, it should be free. If you didn't, then there would be a cost.
Okay, but they can't do it. It's not like...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll be
according to
doing it with
Elon.
mobile service too. So a guy would just pull up in a
Yep.
car. Actually, while I was gone, a guy went and fixed my taillight that had condensation in it. Yeah, no big deal. Drove the Tesla service vehicle, and they'll do that same thing with the hardware 3. They'll just
Yeah,
drive
they
up-
said it's like a 30-minute deal. pop open the dash, pull the chip out, put the new one in, put it back together, test it up, you're good to go.
Wow.
Crazy. Did you buy Full Self Driving? No. Yeah, you bought the enhanced Autopilot, which no longer exists.
I mean, when they have the car able to do full self-driving, I'll probably pony up the dough, but I wasn't gonna pay for something I couldn't get.
Well, and at the time when you bought it, there was no difference between the full self-driving package and enhanced Autopilot.
You didn't get anything extra,
right?
And then they kind of split some things out.
Now it makes sense.
Again, Autopilot's included,
right? But the way they have it now kind of makes sense. Like make it so you can kind of keep the lane keeping assist type of stuff.
They should have kind of always done that, really. But the problem is that they were advertising at the time enhanced Autopilot, and that included all of these things: the on ramp to off ramp, the smart summon. And then what was the other thing? The curvy lane type thing, like navigating really curvy roads, which that is the absolute last thing I'm ever gonna trust.
Slalom mode.
I love it. I do it all the time. I was letting it in Keystone, Colorado, even like before you get to, Keystone area, like Breckenridge. Mm-hmm. The I-70 on my road trip was shut down. There was an avalanche. Like they shut it down. You had to go up through the total mountain pass. I let Autopilot do it.
Really?
Yeah, with snow on the road and everything, snow.
Wow, no.
It nailed it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You're much more trusting.
I'm sitting there, hands on the wheel, but I let the car drive, like, literally almost the entire time. There's a couple spots where the lane markings weren't clear enough, but...
I'll do it for testing, for videos and stuff, but I won't do it with my family in there. I will have to suffer and actually drive the car. It's fine.
I forgot how to drive a car now, so I can't.
Yeah, that won't be far off.
Okay, so are we Tesla'd out? Because there's a lot of stuff that happens.
Oh God, we had other stuff.
Yeah, so much. Like usually when we do these things, it's like SpaceX, Tesla, and I'm like, hi.
Now Joe has stuff.
Yeah, I actually have stuff this week. So there's the Event Horizon Telescope. They released the image of the black hole.
Yes,
everybody's seen it already, I'm sure. Snow that looks like
Ben held up a phone.
I zoomed in a little bit. It's just
his phone's off. That's the joke.
So they've been working on this for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, they first took this image almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
I might be off by a few months, but anyway, it's been a while. It's a huge achievement that probably most people that pick up the New York Times are like, oh, there's a butthole on the front cover. Okay, that's nice. But no, this is a huge thing. We're not supposed to know what that is. But so okay, first of all, for anybody who doesn't understand what the Event Horizon Telescope was and why it is such a big deal, first of all, it's not a telescope; it's like a dozen telescopes.
Yeah, explain that, because I didn't quite understand.
So, when you have a telescope, you have the aperture. Is that the aperture of it that collects all the light. The more light you can collect, the more
information, really.
Well, no, it's the more detail you can get.
Potentially, yeah. Like
that's not the right word I'm looking for, but yeah.
You don't have to have as much like gain. If you have more light, like it can be more sensitive.
So, like for example, the Hubble Space Telescope is like 2.5 meters in diameter, and the James Webb that will maybe someday go up is like 6 meters.
Yeah.
So it's got like multiple times more collecting area.
Like
than
resolution.
Resolution. That was the word I was looking for. So the event, in order to be able to image a black hole because they're so small and so far away, I mean they're not small, but they're so far away.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact they don't produce light because it all goes into it. You have to basically have a telescope, an aperture the size of planet Earth, a collecting area the size of planet Earth, which is hard to do. Yeah. So what they did was they all got together, and there was like a team of like 200 different people in these observatories all around the world. And on this one specific day, I don't have what the day is in front of me, but they all collected light from the black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy and a black hole at the center of...
was it M87 or something?
M87. I keep wanting to say M83 because of the band.
But
so they did both of those. And so... at like a dozen or so telescopes around the world, they all collected their information, and then with a supercomputer, what was it, like 50 petabytes of information or something like that? No, the picture of the Andrea Gorman, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
The
lady that came up with the...
Yeah, she led the team. Anyway, it's like stacks on stacks on stacks of like just a pile of hard drives. and it's like 5 petabytes of data or something.
Oh, that's awesome.
But they produced this algorithm, and they were able to combine all that information to create this image. And somebody online. This was a great little example. Basically, if you take the most detailed picture that Hubble can do, with the newest sensor and everything, the image they collected is like 1/100th of a pixel of what Hubble can collect.
Whoa.
And that's why it's kind of fuzzy. A lot of people are like, why is it so fuzzy? Because it's that small and that far away. It's an absolute miracle that we were able to do this. But it confirms all kinds of Einstein's relativity theories that, of course, were done over 100 years ago.
And this was the first time we have an actual photo of a black hole, right?
As opposed to just like the data that, like the mathematical models of one, basically.
Right, yeah, because like on the kind of astrophysics side, they've known these existed because of all these other things, right? But not having actual evidence.
Yeah, they had like a 19-year time lapse of stars around the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and it showed that they were like being flown around by something, but you can't see what that thing is.
Yeah, so you have evidence that it existed, but you didn't have like direct
visual confirmation, basically.
Right. So the gravitational wave experiment LIGO a few years ago, or last year, whenever. All blending together now.
Time.
I know. So that was the first direct confirmation of black holes, but I heard that explained as it's more like listening to a black hole than actually seeing a black hole.
Yep.
Because
the crazy thing is they do that through gravity. They're listening using gravity.
Yeah.
Like that is
weird. By measuring two lasers at the width of like half of a proton. Insane.
People are too smart.
And so there's a project that I don't know how far along it is, but it's called LUVOIR, like LUVIOR. I was putting a little French smack on it there, but it's supposed to actually go up in space.
Yes.
And have like 3 different satellites at like 100 million kilometers away, and use that as an interferometer to do the same thing that LIGO is doing over like 1 kilometer.
Yeah, so it could be way more sensitive.
Yeah, its sensitivity is going to be off
very
the charts.
long baseline interferometry.
That's it.
That's what it's called.
Is that the LUVOIR thing?
No, this is
that's what they use.
But that's the technology that you're talking about here, of combining the different arrays into it.
Yeah. So huge deal that
huge
came out
deal.
this week.
Well, the few notes for me is like, first off, I love that the image exactly matches the models. Like exactly.
Yeah.
Like to a T. It's just like, that's crazy. You guys figured that out. Yeah, there you go. That's the actual. I mean, I glance, it's like, okay, cool. Like an album art for like, like Tool 1995. Like,
actually, my wife actually posted on Facebook. It was like combining that with the Soundgarden Super Unknown.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that's probably what I'm thinking. Yeah,
because it's the exact same color actually.
That's funny. That's probably what I'm thinking of. It feels like a '90s band. Yeah.
You know, the thing that blows me away about these is, I mean, even back, I don't know if you guys follow this up, but there's a famous, I don't know what you'd call her, a mathematician. I think her name's Henrietta Leavitt. She worked at Harvard in the women's section in the like 1850s or something, which was like, you're not allowed to work here,
so crazy.
right? It was like for blind women or something like that, or deaf, and they like had no other function, so they put them in there to like be computers by just like writing numbers down. Like literally had a photo, and they had like rulers and stuff, and they would like move it over a little bit and write a number down, and so they had all this data about these photos. And she was the one that learned, or that came up with the algorithm, basically, the formula to show where we were in relation to a star that they had seen. So how far away was it really?
Yeah.
And by looking at a bunch of them and analyzing all the data, the most advanced tools at the time, paper and pencil, she was able.
Rules.
Yeah, she was able to do that. But the thing that blew me away is like, you're looking at really crappy photos with literally paper and pencil and rulers and stuff, and you were able to figure that out, and you are in a place in our society that definitely doesn't allow you to do this. I think Edwin Hubble actually famously stole her work and claimed it as his own, and then like gained notoriety for that. I mean, I also believe did a lot of other good things, but anyways,
I think she couldn't get published.
Correct. Yeah.
So,
like there's no way.
Had to go through him to get it was this whole like.
That's the story they'll try to teach you.
Right. I mean, there's probably some truth between those two. Yeah.
But like so to see an image like this, as Soundgarden-y, benign as it appears, just from that image alone, like your naked eye probably can do something, but there's probably a ton of information you can learn about this just by measuring it, in ways that our eyes can't. Like it's fascinating to me how much we can learn about the cosmos without really having much to go off.
Yeah.
Well, and so they knew all this because of numbers,
Right.
until they were actually able to visualize it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
image it.
And her formula to come up with that was one of the first things. And Carl Sagan talked about it, and then Neil deGrasse Tyson in the later version of that same show talked about it. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and the other thing that's cool is that the Louvre, or whatever telescope, however you say it, did you see that yesterday Goddard tweeted an official SpaceX rendering of that telescope inside Starship?
oh man,
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So
maybe that's why it came up. Maybe that's where I saw. Anyway.
so then so and the funniest thing is, Elon didn't even know that SpaceX had sent them this proposal, basically this rendering, and it is a really good quality rendering of Starship with the payload bay and all that stuff showing how it actually work in there. And basically come to find out, the nose of it kind of opens up. They can't split apart in half, the nose, because it has those fins up there now, so that stays stationary, kind of like the canopy opens up top. Then the telescope, I think, would tilt up about 45 degrees, and that's how like the TDRS satellites on the space shuttle, when they were launched from the shuttle bay, you can't just let it go because it'll bonk into the front of the payload bay, so you have to tilt it up at an angle, and that's what they would do here, tilt it up and let go of it. And it's just like, dude, it's so cool that NASA actually showed that image, that SpaceX gave them that image. That shows how far along I think they actually, and how legitimate like Starship is actually. That's
But
cool.
they probably need something that big in order to fit it in there. That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah, like you'd take a New Glenn-sized fairing, Starship. Maybe Ariane 6 is gonna have a massive fairing too.
I wonder if that was just like an intern there, like, oh yeah, okay, let's throw it in there, like, let's do this, and then we'll publish it, and all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, NASA selects SpaceX.
Right.
We made a thing happen.
Well, and Elon ended up replying to that Goddard tweet saying like, we would love to do this. Like,
of course,
we'd be honored to do this. Like,
yeah,
which is cool. Yeah, I love
So
that.
I will direct anybody, if they really want to understand that image, to Veritasium's video where he broke it down, and he has this like model that he like showed why you see this ring around it. It's because of the refraction of the light from the accretion disk on the other side of the black hole, kind of being, bent over because of the gravity. But he also, like, the reason why it's brighter on one side is because that accretion disk is flowing clockwise, or I forgot which direction. But anyway, it's going around, and so some of that light will escape out because it's being flung by that gravity.
Got it.
And so it's brighter on one side than the other side.
That's so nuts.
Light bends like that.
I know.
Wow.
Okay, so what else was there? Beresheet.
Beresheet lander.
That was a bummer.
Were you guys
I
watching?
was so prepared for, like, this is going to be a perfect week of science, and it didn't quite.
This
work
was
out.
the moon.
The Israeli.
Yep. So
water landing.
Not water landing.
Well, SpaceX is water landings.
The rapid and scheduled disassembly.
Yeah. This was Space IL from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Private
launched
company.
a SpaceX rocket. Yeah, when was that? About 2 months ago.
Yeah, so they did this big gravity assist thing with Earth. Like, okay, I'm dumb. But when I first I was like, why is it going to take 3 weeks to get out there? Because Apollo got there in 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, because they don't have like a Saturn V
a giant
rocket.
booster.
Yeah.
Right. So they just kind of like went out a little bit at a time, used the gravity assist, and then flung itself out to the moon's orbit.
And every time it comes back to Earth, you burn the engines, and it slowly raises that orbit every single time you pass. And
so
it
it's just a
takes,
little bit at a time.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did
But
go
still,
into
how
orbit
fast
around the
does
moon.
it take? How long does it take to get around Earth?
Well, it gets longer and longer every
I
time you
guess,
raise
yeah,
the
yeah,
orbit.
yeah,
All of a sudden,
further
you're getting
out,
further out, and then you fall back
It's a
and further out.
hyperbolic. Is that the
Very hyperbolic. Yeah. Now you're making me
let's
question that. Yeah. Very hyperbolic trajectory.
geometry?
Yeah, you just get so each time they burn and each time they raise the orbit, it actually gets it takes longer and longer and longer. Yeah.
So this was originally for the Google X Prize, the Lunar X Prize, which they canceled for reasons that I don't remember.
Well, they extended the deadline a few times.
Okay, so they hit the deadline, and then
finally they're just like, we can't keep this. Defeats the purpose if we keep extending the deadline. So they finally ended it last March, I think, or something.
but Space
2018.
IL decided to just keep going, and then they did it anyway. They
'cause
got into
they
orbit
raised
around
their
the
own funding
moon,
for it
and
and
they didn't stick the landing. But I think like 20 minutes before it was supposed to land, they lost communication.
Is that what happened?
I think that's what I read.
Well, I was watching the live stream, and they had telemetry up on the live stream, which is really cool. And I've played enough Kerbal Space Program to know when something's not looking right for real. And you're seeing a nice steady rate of like deacceleration and a nice steady rate of vertical velocity. And it's sitting around like 20 meters per second or something. Which 20 meters per second would be like if you fell here on Earth for 2 seconds, basically. Because you pick up 9.8 meters per second each time. So, sitting around there, which is a nice speed, and then they cancel out the velocity at the last second. Well, at about 10,000 meters above the surface of the moon, all of a sudden that vertical velocity starts climbing. And I'm going, oh God, they lost an engine. Or like something happened. It might have thought it touched down or something. And it ended up smacking the surface at like, sorry.
That must have been really loud.
Smacking the surface at like, I don't remember what, 130 or 140 meters per second.
Oh, wow, that thing's flying.
Flying. Yeah. So they hit the moon.
They got to the moon. First private company to do it.
Was this a lander?
Yes.
It was a rover, wasn't it?
Lander.
I thought that was part of the X Prize was they had to like roll out.
They had to move, translate across the surface. So almost all the teams that were trying for it, all were going to just do a hop and go 100 meters hopping. Just, instead of trying to have another system to rove on the moon, just hop their own lander.
So, I mean, it did land and
just not in one piece.
Hop.
Parts of it hopped.
But at the same time, they're the 7th country to ever orbit the moon, and they're the 4th country to touch the moon.
Well, they were the first private company.
And first private company to even really do anything like this. So it was,
so
really
success, progress.
Amazing. Incredible. And, they did this on a shoestring budget compared to anything else before.
Yeah, like, I wonder, some of these times, so this example, why don't you go, okay, well, Mars rover, okay, copy, paste, hey, how about this one, right? It looks good, right? We can make this work.
Yeah.
It just cost $3 billion to get it there, but,
Yeah. It's just amazing that they can do this. I don't know what their budget was, but the prize for the Google Lunar X Prize wasn't it only like 10 million or something?
Yeah.
So they obviously
and you were supposed to get it on the moon for that.
And
oh wow.
Obviously you had to pay for it up front. So your cost shouldn't be more than like 5 million. Because you want to make it so if you land and win, you make money.
Wait, you only win if you've actually done it
by the deadline.
Wow.
By March or something of 2018, whenever the deadline was.
Yeah.
So at this point, it was all privately funded. People, it was a risk, obviously. But the idea is you should make money off it. So, but they did ride sharing with SpaceX, so they didn't have to buy a Falcon 9 rocket.
Got it. Okay.
So that would have been just $60 million to launch it.
Yeah.
So they did ride sharing, which we could guess was probably several million. 2, 3, 4, 5 million.
For space.
Space Uber.
Yeah. And hopefully the spacecraft wasn't more than a couple million. I don't know, but who knows? Moon Express is still hoping, I think, to launch soon. They're based out of here, but they're launching on Electron. So a tiny little Electron rocket will send something to the moon.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
Isn't that nuts?
Well, and Rocket Lab had an announcement, the Photon kick stage.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, a satellite bus, basically. Yeah. Which is
so how is this different from the kick stage they already use?
I don't quite It's, to me, I need to look into it because I didn't have time. Again, when you're out here, I'm just constantly driving and doing stuff. But it's
maybe in that downtime while the video link went out, you could have looked this up.
Come on, Tim.
I think the idea is that you have telemetry, you have all your relay links, you have solar panels on it. You have things that make it so it is now a spacecraft. You know what I mean? As opposed to just like a kick stage, which is meant to do its job and then be done.
Do you know what a kick stage is?
No.
It's basically like it's a mini stage of a rocket that is meant to finalize the orbit.
And it's only
the engine is
like
literally
a donut.
The engine is literally this big on that.
Is that
thing.
the Curie engine?
The Curie,
yeah.
And then, but it's it's basically a thing. It is this big altogether, and then tiny little engine, and just make sure that especially with what Rocket Lab does a lot is they launch multiple satellites. So with the kick stage, you can kind of put one satellite in one specific orbit. Do a little bit of a thing and
put them,
so you put multiple different.
I always wondered, because I think we just why don't they just talked about this before of why doesn't SpaceX just launch half of Starlink in one Falcon Heavy go?
Right.
Because you have the capacity or whatever, and you have the thrust.
Yeah.
And so if you did something like that, because half of that constellation would be 400 satellites or something.
2,000.
Oh, wait, really? I thought it was because I thought the whole thing was 800. No, that's the first. They need 800 to test it or something.
Basically.
But
and one web's 400 or 800.
But I thought about that. So okay, you can't just be like, hey guys, here.
Yeah.
You have to put them on specific places.
Yeah, that is why you kind of break it up into multiple launches, different inclinations, different. Yeah. Yeah.
But that kick stage would be the thing that does that.
It can do an amount of it.
Right.
But not like a lot, because it actually takes a ton of energy to change your inclination, your angle of orbit. It takes more energy to do that than it does to like raise your orbit.
So it could be like the Hansel and Gretel breadcrumb thing, though, right? Like the let's say you deploy. Like I was watching the Arabsat whatever yesterday, and it gets this like little. It kind of looks like a crumpled up ball of tinfoil when it comes out, right?
Yeah.
And then it's gonna like open up or something, right? But you could, in theory, like the way I imagine it would be, okay, we're gonna put a string of these Starlink satellites all on the same orbit, but a certain distance apart. So it's just gonna go kind of poop them out as it goes, right?
Yeah, and that's what's normal with like the Iridium constellations that launch like 8 to 10 satellites. They'd pop them all out pretty much within minutes of each other.
Oh, really?
And then they would the satellites would individually kind of raise their orbits a little bit and get it timed out so that they're evenly spaced on that same inclination.
Right.
So they can cover, that amount. And that's exactly what like Starlink and all these other...
And I'm imagining what India did with that 104 satellites in one launch.
Oh, yeah.
No, not the blasting out of the sky, but no, it was like shucking corn. It was just all these satellites just coming off of this thing.
Right,
It was crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, so it's an interesting world we live in where all of a sudden there's just so many things like that happening.
The reason I did this was Blue Origin announced that they were going to do their own satellite internet thing. It's called the Kuiper Project. And Elon said that they're just a copycat company.
Oh, is that why he said that?
There's some
I thought he
shade
said
going
that
on.
just because of Blue Origin at all.
No, it's because they're now going to do
It was specifically about that.
Oh, got it. That's funny because look, Elon is human, and but him calling Bezos a copycat, I didn't read that full context. I just thought it was about Blue Origin. I'm like, okay, Elon, you're not the first billionaire to start a space company.
And actually, Blue Origin started a space company before SpaceX.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's one of those things where you're like, come on, man. Like,
At least he didn't call him a pedophile.
Right, yeah, there we go.
He's making progress.
We got progress.
Right.
2019, year of progress.
I miss all this fun because I uninstalled Twitter and Instagram and everything from my phone, so I just see the headlines now.
Such a hipster guy or something.
Yeah. I do go on the computers and do
got a
that
flip phone.
down at the library.
He's got his razor over here.
Okay, pause. Did you see the foldable razor phone?
You were talking about it once before.
What? I want that.
Is it coming back? Is the razor back?
But no. It's a foldable screen. So it's
foldable screens. They look like jokes though.
Right. But this is the old razor phone, which Tim, you were too young to remember, but me and Joe, and it folds out, and it's a single screen just like this. So it's foldable, but instead of this like weird half book thing that somehow has screens on both sides and it's just like a weird thing, to me that was the first time I had seen a foldable cell phone screen. I was like, that makes sense. Yeah. Because it like collapses and it just has the tiny little like notification thing on the outside. And then you open it and here's this regular candy bar display.
But what's the advantage?
It's smaller.
Is it smaller?
To have it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's about half the size of this. Yeah.
That just seems like now it's twice as thick.
It at least didn't look weird. It at least wasn't like, what are you doing? That's like
it's more reliable because there's more moving parts.
Yeah, that's right.
That's how that works.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
Yeah.
Okay, one more science thing real quick before I forget about it. I know there's another
the camera dies.
Exactly. Yeah. This one, we're doing okay on that. The NASA twins experiment.
Oh yeah. Does someone else come out with Mark Kelly and Scott Kelly?
So Scott Kelly and Mark Kelly are both astronauts. They're identical twins. They stand right next to each other, and it's hilarious looking. But Scott Kelly, what? I was
That's
like
their
2
party
years
trick.
now.
They just stand next to each other.
Yeah,
Like,
wearing their spacesuits, and they both say Kelly. We came dressed as each other.
After the results come out, they're like, actually, we tricked you guys. We swapped halfway through the tests.
And nobody knew. Yeah.
You never knew.
So like we wanted to resupply. We resupplied to Kelly. So they finally released their findings. Mm-hmm. These poor guys, I kind of feel for them because they've just been like blood drawn every day for years and tested in all these different ways. But Scott Kelly was up in space for like 300, almost a full year.
Really close to a full year. Yeah.
That didn't break a record though.
I thought he did.
I think he's like the 5th most
total
in space.
But in one go though is a record.
Okay. All right.
Of Kelly's, he has the record.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea was they're gonna like monitor him up in space, and they're gonna monitor his twin brother down on the planet, and we're gonna see what kind of it's really important if we are ever going to go to Mars and really live in space that we understand what it's going to do to our bodies, because our bodies are not made for zero gravity or low gravity.
And radiation environments.
And radiation and all that. Well, but even on the space station, you're not getting the full brunt of the cosmic rays and stuff. Cause
you're still inside the magnetosphere.
So they finally released their study like just this week. This is a crazy week.
This is crazy.
Like every time I turn around, I was like, oh my God.
Good thing we all came together for it.
Yeah. But anyway, no, there were a lot of findings, and there's only a few that I can remember off the top of my head, but it was really interesting. They found that the vascular walls in his blood vessels had thickened.
Which one?
In the guy. This is all about him.
Okay, yeah.
as opposed to his brother, like what happened to him.
Him? Capital H?
Yeah, him. So that's problematic because you don't want that to happen. When you're in space, like your body is made to pump blood up this way because it's fighting gravity. But when you're in space, there's no gravity you're fighting against, so you like swell up. That's why astronauts always look a little like blown up.
Interesting.
So they were seeing some vascular issues with that. That was kind of like a moderate concern. His telomeres lengthened.
What is this?
Yeah, what are they?
Ooh, I get to nerd. Okay, cool. So.
And that's all the time.
Yeah. So at the end of our chromosomes, there are these little. Nobody has any shoes on. At the end of your shoelaces, you got that little aglet.
Yeah.
The little. I actually know the name of that aglet. It's an actual thing.
This is Joe's time to shine.
I know.
Get the Trivial Pursuit board out. But anyway, so we basically have that at the end of our chromosomes, and it keeps it from sort of unraveling.
Which
protects
one?
it. All of them.
Oh, I thought I only had 2. X and Y, right?
No, there's like 23.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Keep going. Ignore me.
2 23s.
Oh, man, I have to keep track of all these things now? I've only been checking on 2 of them. I don't know.
Come on, 23 is
How
me.
many
I
are in
get
my
it.
arm?
I get it.
Yeah, 23andMe, that's why it's named that. So, the telomeres basically keep them together, and it has a lot to do with aging. So, like, when they found that as you get older, the telomeres get shorter and shorter, and that's why there's some cellular damage. That's why you get mutations in your DNA, because the telomeres aren't there to protect it anymore. And there's a supplement you can take called telomerase that's supposed to help, maybe not lengthen them, but keep them from shrinking over time. It's all about life extension and aging and stuff like that. So somehow his got longer while he was in space.
Really?
Yeah. Compared to his brother. Right.
But then after he came back to Earth, they shortened like a lot.
Compared to the
like
original.
More than Mark even?
Yeah, more so than before he left.
Interesting.
And then they regulated. They kind of went back to normal again. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's super interesting. Like, I don't know why it would lengthen.
Huh.
But it did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like Interstellar, the movie, had some weird lessons about this of like high gravity ages you faster or no.
That was time dilation though.
Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Because you're traveling through space faster or something like that.
Space-time junk that I can't even wrap my head
around. Black hole stuff again.
Yeah, dang it.
But the other thing was he had some cognitive decline. Nothing major, I don't think, but like he was when he was on the space station, he was doing these tests and stuff and on his computer, and they found like a 5% decline in his cognitive abilities.
Couple beers.
And something specifically like something about recognizing human emotion.
Really?
Came down a little bit. Yeah.
Now
really
is he the one that's running for Congress?
That's Mark. That's the one on the ground. Is the one running.
Mark was married to
Kathy. Is married to Kathy Giffords. Is that her name? Or not Kathy Giffords? Gabrielle Giffords.
Yeah. Man, that's funny.
Gabrielle Giffords. No, you're right. She was the one that got shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
She got shot.
My wife's cousin was actually the first responder on scene for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Whoa. It was a crazy story to hear.
I bet.
Yeah.
We're not talking about that. So, different story.
So she's in Arizona. So he's running for what? McCain's old seat? No, is he Senate or Congress?
I didn't even know he was running, honestly.
He's running, yeah.
But see, it's funny because when you see the photo, you're like, oh, the guy from all the space YouTube videos where he did all the things. You're like, no, it's actually
his brother.
The other, yeah. Got it. Like, okay.
Well, have you ever seen the video of Scott Kelly after he got back to Earth? Like, he could barely walk.
Oh, yeah, they can't walk
for like weeks. And he had like extra swelling in his legs again because his body was used to
has
not
to figure it out again.
Like his ankles are like that big around. And I keep seeing that and I think the first crew that lands on Mars is going to get out of that thing, and they're going to have to do all this stuff to set up, and they're not going to hardly be able to walk.
You're just gonna get there and like acclimate for 3 months.
Maybe.
Yeah,
And-
before you can even do an experiment or anything.
I do. A lot of people always say, like, I get people. Has Elon personally solved artificial gravity? Like, it's like
Centrifugal force.
It is. Yeah, it's not a thing you really have to solve. Like, it's actually solved, but like I don't know if it's actually 6 months of transiting to Mars, and you land on Mars where the gravity's less.
It's like 1/3.
Yeah, 1/3. Yep, 38% or something. And so maybe you just won't. Maybe you hang out for a day in the cabin and watch a movie.
Probably
or
more
something,
than a day.
Well, it might not be that bad because don't forget the space shuttle crew for some reason always walked off the space shuttle, but they were never in space for more than 10 days. I think.
Yeah, well that's
10 days, 6 months, same thing.
right.
Tomato.
I did a video a while back that was like 5 reasons why going to Mars is a terrible idea.
I remember
It was a bit of a clickbait title.
terrible
And I
reasons to go to
still
Mars,
get people who clearly did not even watch the video and just get on there and like, screw you, we'd still be living in trees if people like you were in charge.
Now you have to pay extra to live in a tree.
Right.
Airbnb.
I wouldn't do that. But anyway, so I just like the people who go to Mars is the 6 month at least to get there, and then there's like an 18-month window.
Yeah.
Before they can come back.
Because otherwise, if you tried to come back earlier, it would take even longer.
Well, you have to go all the way around the sun.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
But it'd be like another 18-month journey or something.
But, I mean, like no matter what, you can't get back within
Right.
2 years, basically.
Yeah, so
It's like when you're in LA and you're coming to San Diego, you're like, oh yeah, I could go get on the 405 right now, but I just spent 6 hours sitting there.
You might as well wait till
I may as well just hang out here for
it's
another.
just like going to Mars.
Exactly.
Just same thing.
Exactly.
Same thing.
But those poor bastards are
String
going to come
theory,
back
I'm
home
solving
and be
it
in a
right now.
wheelchair for...
Oh, and not only will they be in a wheelchair for a long time, they'll probably be insane and not be able to recognize human emotions anymore because of radiation damage or whatever. Like, this is... There's a lot of problems with...
A lot of risks.
Yeah. The first explorers...
Doesn't mean we can't solve these problems, but they're significant.
There's more to consider than just getting there and coming back.
Yeah. Yep. And that's... When SpaceX says, we're going to develop a rocket to go to Mars and Elon wants to colonize Mars and stuff.
Where was this in The Martian? See, I'm a little upset now. We need a refresh.
Okay. Call Andy Weir, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, make it happen.
But there is a lot more to solve than just the rocket. But I don't think that's necessarily SpaceX's job. There's other people. NASA studies this stuff.
But that's why they did this. That's
exactly.
what we're doing. That's what we're talking about.
That is exactly what we're doing. We're collecting the data so we know which problems to tackle and how to potentially solve them.
This is a crazy week.
This was a nuts week. Man.
In a good way.
Yeah, a great way. I feel like we've been saying that a lot. We're like, there was a lot of news, This was especially...
Well, it's hard to ignore. Like, every week, anytime you do something like this, there's things that we don't talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this one was especially hard to ignore some of these things, right? So
Crazy. We should probably wrap, though, right?
I think we did it.
Yeah.
I think we
did. We were all like, let's just get together and talk for 30 minutes. I know we're all busy, and here we are, like, almost pushing 2 hours.
Probably our longest one ever. Are you guys are probably all releasing some kind of like fun B-roll from the trip, I'm assuming, right?
I put one out. Well, it took 4 hours to upload from the Wi-Fi at this place, but that's on my TMI channel. It was my whole experience with yesterday. Ben's in it.
I'm doing a vlog from the event.
Cool.
Which will be, hopefully I'll have time to edit on the plane.
Right. Yeah.
On your computer or on your phone?
On my computer.
Yeah. Oh, I always shoot my little things on my phone. I just kind of do that.
Yeah. I'm literally just gonna put some B-roll up for my patrons. I mean, like just an uncut B-roll.
Have you guys seen, by the way, that I don't fully grasp this, but there's a way if you use channel memberships, not Patreon, but built-in YouTube, you can have like a longer version of the same video available, and it's automatically like only those. I'm not sure if it was a technique somebody did or if that was built in. But do you guys know who Jake Roper is from Vsauce 3? Yeah, he did a thing recently on his personal channel about being burned out or whatever. And he, in the video, was saying, oh, and if, because he was talking about removing channel memberships because he's like, I don't really post here. It's been literally 5 months since I posted something. And he's like, well, and if you guys have it, you'll see an even longer version of this video with me rambling even more. Now, I don't know if that means it was the same video uploaded separately and only like you can somehow release it to them, but I thought that was kind of a neat thing because sometimes I know people, like I had a lot of people I talked to yesterday about this, like sometimes I'll do videos and they are intentionally short, right? Because I don't want to just repeat the same stuff,
right?
And most people will lose interest after a certain amount of time. But I'm curious, like, if you guys, go down that route, like, how could you have an even deeper, longer video available for people? I mean, we could even do it here with the podcast, like, if you want to listen to us chat for 2.5 hours.
Do you do the memberships thing?
I mean, it's turned on, but I don't have any perks to doing memberships, really.
My only perks are I have live streams that I do specifically for them.
What about the picture?
Patreons.
I thought the picture thing after a certain amount of
Yeah,
months.
you get little loyalty badges.
Yeah.
But I really wish that they would have it set up so that I could put a video out on everybody's timeline specifically that goes to the membership people.
Like based on based on your level or whatever. Oh no, there's only one level, right?
There's only one level, but I keep saying something. But right now, you have to do it, unless I'm mistaken, you have to do it on the community tab.
Oh,
so people have to go and look, and maybe if they're on their phone, it might come up.
But on the desktop, you don't see that.
So you're saying like so it only published for members, basically?
Somebody later
figure
this out for us.
Yeah,
Let us know.
so like a member would just see it pop up just like any other video.
Yeah, maybe a week early or something too.
Right.
That'd be cool.
If you can make videos that far.
It's still kind of new, so maybe they'll add all that over time.
Yeah.
Cool, guys.
Yeah, I'll be throwing some B-roll together, and then maybe someday I'll be able to get to that video I've been working on for over a month. Maybe. Who knows?
Which one was that?
The Raptor video. I've been reading a textbook, by the way, so I actually understand this crap.
Look at you.
It's nuts.
And I'm sure you knew this, but I just learned that the engines are named after falcons. Did we already say this, or were we talking about this earlier?
You were talking to me about it.
The engines are named after falcons.
So Raptor and Merlin are types of falcons, birds. But the whole falcon is named after Millennium Falcon, so it's just a loose correlation just by the name.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Trip from SpaceX was telling us that.
Interesting.
That was our trivia of the event.
And Starship is the famous Falcon.
Yeah, right. That's right. The engines.
All I know is they need to name the first one Jefferson.
Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, see?
Yes. We're old.
Because they built this city.
On
methyl.
That's it. We have to stop. We have to stop. G's going to start discoing.
Well, that's going to do it for our ludicrous future.